2 is for Jack again. What other probable explanations besides volcanic origins do you have for the orange rock and colored soil that you found at Shorty Crater?
Well, they don't necessarily have to be volcanic, Gordy. I refer to them as alteration, and much of the hydrothermal or hot water alteration that we see on Earth is related to recent volcanism or ancient volcanism. But also we know of that kind of alteration of pre-existing materials to take place as a result of just fluids working their way up through the Earth's crust, and I presume that such a process is also possible on the moon. The ones we saw seem to be associated with areas of dark mantle of various types, and most of the photographic evidence we have is that those dark mantle deposits are associated with volcanism, but it is not necessarily proved yet, I believe, that the orange soils or the alterations we've seen are volcanic. However, the process would be a related process, that is one of internal origin.
Third question is for Cernan or Schmidt. Your voices are so much alike that it is unclear to some of us which one of you found the orange rock and who first spotted the layer of orange soil on the crater rim.
Jack found it. He uncovered it as he was walking on the rim, and we worked with that. And then as I went around the crater to take the stereo base pan from within the crater, I could see alterations radially down from the rim further beyond where we were working down to the center. I don't think that that question of who found it is specifically as important as that we were there with the equipment and the training jointly to not only recognize that, but to take advantage of having recognized it, and I hope that we did.
Okay, the next one's for Ron Evans. Why do you think you were able to see so much orange material from lunar orbit after your partners had found some on the ground, when none of the previous Apollo crews reported seeing anything but grays, tans, and browns?
Well, I think for one thing, we were essentially in a different orbit than some of the other crews that have been up there before. And even though each of us has a color tone in our own eyes, what we come up with, I think, is a function of pretty much what you'd like to believe or what you'd like to see on a thing. If you feel it has a tint of orange with it, and this is in a new area that we really hadn't flown over that much, and this is primarily where we were seeing this type of thing was on the western rim of Serenitatis, and in some of the, well, at least it looks like known volcanic deposits along the rim of Serenitatis. Gordy, let me add quickly that there's no such thing as a truly objective observer, and I believe that once you start looking for something, and when Ron heard about what we were doing, I'm sure he started looking himself in what we had seen, and that leads you to see things. Now, that's not seeing things that aren't there. It makes you look for things that are there, and that's extremely important, and that's where the kind of training all three of us has had, I think, has made it possible for us to find a lot of things that might not otherwise been found.
This one is addressed to all three crewmen. What will you remember most about this mission?
Boy, that's a loaded question, Gordy. There's so many things, but I think probably the thing that, when I think about it, that'll stick with me most is the same thing that stuck with me over my last two missions. It's not so much being there, but it's getting a chance to get home and share what you've seen and what you've done with other people. Well, I think in my case, the liftoff itself is something brand new for me. It's something beyond the booster ride itself. Is something beyond what I could really comprehend. So I think that's it's a very important part of it. I will always remember that part of it. But I'm kind of like with Gene. I feel that even though the three of us have been up here and had the opportunity to observe the moon, look at what we can find and that type of thing, I think that we have an obligation to share our experiences with the rest of the people.
Well, Gordy, that is a difficult question. It has been a fascinating experience from so many detail aspects. I guess generally speaking, the thing I carry back with me, I hope, is an increased perspective, not only for the history of the solar system, but I hope for the future of mankind within that solar system.
Gordy, this doesn't mean that last 50,000 feet won't stick in my mind for a long time. Roger, Gene. Again, for all three crewmen, now that you are returning home from what may be the last lunar exploration of this century, what short-range and long-range plans do each of you have for the future?
Well, my short-range plans are certainly to enjoy Christmas with my family, think about the flight, get its data down on paper. My long-range plans are to turn around and look at the next flight, whatever that may be, and put my efforts and experience towards that flight and get to work on it. I think my short-range plans, of course, first of all, tomorrow I want to make a real good re-entry, and that's the real short-range part of it. From that point on, as I mentioned before, I think we have a responsibility, at least I feel that we have a responsibility to share our experiences with the rest of the people, not only in the United States, but with the people of the rest of the world. Beyond that, I also have a strong desire to continue participating in manned spaceflight in whatever capacity I might be able to.
Well, I can do nothing but echo Gene and Ron's words, and maybe add, Gordy, that I hope that through the next few years I'll be able to make some contributions that guarantees that this Apollo 17 flight is not the last exploration program in this century in space.
Again, for all the crew, throughout the mission there were periodic reports from each of you about gastric distress in one form or another. Does this trouble make you think that the three Skylab missions of 28, 56, and 56 days scheduled for next year are too ambitious?
No, not at all. I don't think they're too ambitious, Gordy. I think that's the reason we're flying each and every one of these flights one at a time, is to find out if there really are potential problems in diet and what have you. And I think we solved a lot of them from Apollo 15 and 16, and those few that we had, I'm sure we can solve accordingly prior to Skylab flying.
I don't think I can add anything to that. I think we made a big improvement over the problems that occurred on Apollo 16, and I think as a result of our observations in conjunction with the medical people primarily at NASA, that very clear solution will be found for Skylab and any other mission we want to fly.
Okay. For Ron Evans, you seemed almost euphoric during your spacewalk yesterday, and other spacewalkers before you seem to have had the same reaction to the experience. Can you describe what it was like and how it made you feel?
Well, I think for those of you who had the opportunity to watch yesterday, it's pretty obvious how I felt out there. I'm not sure euphoric is the word. It's an opportunity. Well, to me, I guess it was an opportunity to be what I call a real spaceman. You know, you're out there in the deepness of space with nothing but your spacesuit on you, and you're doing a job that has to be done. Now, we're riding around in space out here, and this is in a capsule, and we look out the window, you know, but it's a nice firm feeling. It's a solidly built vehicle, and get the zero-G effect on the thing, but you don't get the feeling of really getting out and walking in space. And once I became accustomed to what it was like in the EVA environment, then you relax and you take it easy and you try to accomplish what you can and observe what you can and really enjoy it. And I think I really enjoyed it.
I had a hold of his umbilical most of that time, and I didn't notice that he was ready to jump out into space, if that's the kind of euphoria you're talking about.
Okay. For Eugene Cernan and any other later comments. You've talked a lot about this mission being the end of the beginning, but a lot of people don't agree. Recognizing the United States is stopping lunar exploration for the foreseeable future, how do you feel?
When we look back at the Apollo program, I don't think anyone can privately to themselves or publicly say that this truly, indeed, has really been a beginning of man's really first venture out into deep space. And once there's a beginning, there's a continuation. The probing into deep space by man, the next landing on the moon, a trip to Mars may not be for 10 years, a decade, it may not be till the end of the century. But I personally have faith that it will happen. I think it's a restraint, an abnormal restraint of man's intellect at this point in time to restrict or tend to think that he will restrict his own feeling of exploration, his own quest for knowledge. He's had an opportunity, he's proved that he can take advantage of this opportunity, and I think that the nature of mankind is going to just press on. That's why I believe Apollo 17, yes, it's the beginning, but the whole Apollo program is really the true beginning of what's to come in the future. And I firmly believe that we can look back in 100 years or 200 years and the 5-year or 10-year period of time that we may be slowed down here. I think we'll be lost in the merit of what's really accomplished during the next several decades.
The next question is for all the crew. The American people seem to be getting fairly blasé about space flight, and television coverage of Apollo 17 has been at a minimum. But this is not the case abroad. For example, in the Republic of Zaire, the former Belgian Congo, an estimated 20 million people are watching extensive coverage on TV sets set up in the villages. What do you have to say to the people of underdeveloped nations?
Well, Gordy, first of all, I'm not sure that the amount of television coverage is necessarily a measure of the interest of the American people. I don't have those figures at hand. I'm sorry to hear that the adventures we had and the insight that maybe we gained into not only ourselves but to the history of the solar system was not shared extensively with the American people, if that's true. As far as the rest of the world is concerned, and also the people of the United States who may not participate as much in the affluence that we all would like to share, I think that what spaceflight in general and the Apollo program in particular has offered is many new avenues from which we can provide for those people abroad and for our own people the kind of quality of life and the material, including the material quality of life that everybody aspires to. And I think we've just begun the adventure of understanding how what we have learned and how we have learned to do it in space can be applied to these particular kinds of problems. That is one of the great challenges that I think NASA and other agencies within the United States government and other governments abroad have, is to use this base of technological information now for their own people.
I'd like to just add to that very briefly, Gordy, that America has led the way into space in the past. I believe we will in the future. But a point I tried to get across several days earlier in this flight is that the real promise of the future for all the peoples of the Earth is to will themselves itself into a coherent group of people who can live and work together and then enjoy all the benefits and all the knowledge that is to come from future space explorations. I think we are doing this not just as Americans, but as human beings. And everyone throughout these countries, throughout the world, who are watching this right now are also human beings, no different than we are. It's their accomplishment as well as it is ours.
Question 11 is for Jack. Do you think the United States waited too long to send a geologist to the moon?
We're grinning because I think we predicted that question. Gordy, I think the United States waited too long to go into space in the first place, and I think they're probably going to wait too long to go back. I will always feel that way, no matter who goes or what qualifications he may have or may think he has. I think that the most important thing that maybe I have done is to be able to show that we can build a transportation system that allows you to fly people of a wide variety of disciplines. And I think that we have shown that, and I think that it's occurred at about as soon as possible within the Apollo program.
The last couple questions are in a lighter vein and for Ron Evans. There's been a lot of discussion about a missing pair of scissors in the command module. Who really lost the scissors?
Well, I think it must have been one of those other guys because I was asleep and I got up the next morning and it was gone.
Didn't happen on my watch.
And also, Ron, did the squeaking of those mice on board keep you awake?
No, the mice really didn't. There are plenty of other things going on inside the spacecraft here that we can hardly even hear the mice. As a matter of fact, I really haven't heard them yet.
Okay, this completes the list of questions as submitted by the newsmen here in Houston. There are a little less than 7 minutes left on our scheduled time for any other further remarks you might like to make.
Yeah, Gordy, I think we'd like to take this opportunity to each say a word or two.
Well, I just briefly, Gordy, I feel that I have done something that's fairly significant here in my life. I hope it, and will do everything I can to see that it is not the most significant thing I ever do. But I feel that the fact that I had the opportunity is due in large part to the tangible and intangible effects that my mother and father had on my life, and to them I send my thanks, and I hope that I continue to live up to their expectations.
You know, on Apollo 17 here, we've had two outstanding vehicles, and that's, don't let me get you wrong, I'm not discounting the booster either, but I've watched a lot of people work on a lot of spacecraft, and I'm really proud to be able to say that all of the vehicles that have been associated with Apollo 17 have been outstanding. And the reason they're outstanding is because of the people that have been working on them. And I'd like to give our thanks and well done to the people that worked on our spacecraft.
Gordy, prior to leaving, and I guess I can certainly assume during the flight, we've carried many well wishes and carried many prayers aboard from people throughout the world. I personally believe that those prayers played no small part in any success that we were able to achieve on this flight. I ask those people, however, to continue their prayers, in particular for some of our friends and some of our comrades who are still in Southeast Asia, POWs, MIAs, who may not, although God willing, I hope they will, but who may not have the opportunity to get home and enjoy the Christmas that we're looking forward to. And with that, from Apollo 17 Spacecraft America, on December 18, 1972, we all wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. Godspeed and God bless you all.
Thank you, guys. That was a good show. We enjoyed every minute.
So, flight,
Go ahead, Flight.
how's your temperatures look?
We were running about 5 or 6 degrees below what we predicted, Flight, but we're not in too bad trouble yet. If we go ahead on time.
Okay.